Yes, yes, yes. The champ is here. The champ is here. Oh my God. Yes, the champ is here. Live and in color. Podcast. Committed to helping you experience the fullness of your relationships in a world where conversations are mostly superficial. Couples are right now avoiding conversations, avoiding those sensitive moments, those sensitive topics because they don't feel safe to be able to talk about it. I discovered that because men have not been given a space to be vulnerable and to share our feelings and emotions, that vulnerability area is something that is foreign to us that we can't compute. However, the champ is telling you that it's time for you right now to get it together. Let's go! I'm here right now, bringing you the podcast. And I'm here to stay, never go down. Yes. Cause I'm a champion. A champion. Cause I'm a champion. Come on. Cause I'm a champion. Yes. Yes, we are live right here. And we're talking about today's topic, solitude and self-care. Embracing alone time after the divorce. And I'm your host, Champ Franklin. Thank you again. We're about to get ready into it right now. Amen and a woman. Thank you all so much. I love it when you cheer on me. Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. Yep, I'm here, unadulterated, no filters. I'm bringing you the conversation right here to your face. Like Kamala Harris said, hey, if you got something to say it to my face. And so here I am right now today, coming to you live to help you to understand the importance of self-care and embracing that alone time after your divorce. And this is something that is near and dear to my heart because I just went through a divorce. And a lot of people didn't know that, Frank, you got divorced. I'm like, yeah, man, it happened to me. And because it happened to me, guess what? It can happen to you too. And so what I did was I took, you know, my knowledge, my experience, and decided that, hey, I want to bring this to the forefront, and I want to be able to help individuals to experience life after the divorce when that happens. And so as we're talking about this, I want to be able to share with you ways in which you can take care of your mental health because it's important. Because there are times in which it can be very tough and you can find yourself alone, not necessarily alone, but you're not lonely, right? There's a difference. There's a difference in being alone and lonely. And so in this particular case, I want you to be able to take that self-care seriously. Take the moment to embrace the fact that after everything is done, you still matter, and that you are on your way. This is a journey. I'm not a destination, and the relationship ended, and it happens. It happens simply because of this one area that I discovered, intimate discoveries. I discovered that is missing in a whole bunch of relationships. It was missing in my relationship. It's missing in most relationships, and And I want to increase in awareness in this particular area. And I just want to express my heartfelt gratitude to my friends who have been there for me, because there were days in which it was not um, pleasant. It wasn't all fluffy and bells ringing. None of those things existed for me, and so I had some challenging days. The thing I believe is important is that in spite of all of that, one thing I stayed true to was going to therapy. And so I encourage you to go to therapy and be able to take that time to step back and appreciate who you are, because you still are amazing, irregardless of what the other person decided or thought, right? So my thing to you is enjoy this new found life and take the time to write a new narrative for your life, because this is the only time that you will ever have is right now. And so as you find yourself alone, try not to define your aloneness as loneliness, because um, you're on your way. And I think that you can um, begin to experience the fullness of what God has for you moving forward. And I just, I truly believe that with all my heart, my soul, and my body. And um, for me, my um, commitment to society now is to make an impact. Audio isn't broadcasting. Finish the live stream and start again. Man, I tell you, man, I tell you, God is like, um, it is, it's crazy, right? That let me see here, because it's just crazy. Finish it. It told me to finish it and start again, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go over to post for 30 days, right? We're going to do that, right? We're going to go now over to Instagram. We're going to go Instagram live right now, Intimate Discoveries. And we're going to go live over here. And just bear with me for a moment, because we are live. We're going live right now. Intimate Discoveries, Unveiling Connections, the podcast, Redefining. Yes, that's right. I'm live right here in Instagram Live, bringing it to you, the unadulterated, unfiltered, straight talk, in helping you to experience the fullness of your relationships. I was talking about um, we're talking about solitude and self-care and embracing alone time after the divorce. And one of the things that we know is that it is challenging sometimes. I got New York time, New York too tough, right? We have individuals who are interested in coming on the show, who want to talk about their relationship, want to talk about vulnerability. I invite you to come on the show and share with me your perspective on what you feel about vulnerability and your relationship. I know that 4 out of 10 marriages, between 40 and 50% of relationships, um, are struggling right now. We know that based on statistics, that 1 out of 5 couples are are in a sexless marriage. One out of 5. 1 out of 5. And for us to ignore the fact that relationships are struggling um, is a tragedy to our society. And I think it's important that we continue to have a space where the conversation can continue. And um, thinking about it is something that we have to share. We gotta talk about it. We gotta be able to um, bring a space where people can feel safe and talk about how they're feeling and what their thoughts are in regards to um, being in an intimate relationship. Let me see if I can go over some statistics. Like I said, we know that vulnerability is the birthplace for intimate relationships, and so when you ask most, um, in fact, you ask my ex-wife, well, what happened? Why did you decide to leave Frank? I'm talking about the legend from Chicago. She'll tell you that she was tired. She was tired of um, taking care of me in my mental instability or unstable moments. Um, and I'll be the first to apologize to her, apologize to her face. I'm like, hey, listen, I'm sorry that I really, I didn't know. I didn't know that you were leaving me. I didn't know it was possible. Um, and so it has been a challenge for me embracing alone time because there have been moments in which I've been alone, been by myself, trying to figure out life. The so some of the one of the things that I did was I started going to started going to seminars and programs to help me to understand my way forward. And one of the things that I did was I went to I attended this weekend course. It was like over a weekend, and it's called the Landmark Forum. And one of the things that I learned from the Landmark Forum is that you can live in the possibilities when you um, separate the story about what happened. And so being able to capture that knowledge and to bring it to the forefront to my life and begin to apply that what happened happened and there's nothing I can do today to change what happened. However, what I can do is I can modify or change the stories about what happened. In some cases, the story about what happened were negative, weren't inclusive, weren't supportive, weren't ideal, um, in which allowed me to have a positive outlook. But it changed my life. It changed my life to the fact that um, I don't have to repeat the stories about what happened. I know that it happened and I recognize that happened, but I don't have to create meaning about what happened, something that is in the past. And in other words, I can now live in the possibilities of my future, of my right now. And that helped me so much. And I encourage you, if you're in the place of being separated right now, your wife or your husband like, hey, listen, I don't want to be married to you anymore. And I want you to I want us to separate. I want us to begin that process of dissolving our marriage. And so that can be tough. And so if you find yourself in that situation, and the person does not want to go to counseling, the person is finished, there really is nothing you can do about it. Nothing you can do about it. You can, like what R. Kelly say, you can cry a river. When a woman's fed up, ain't nothing you can do. Um, and and when a man finds a sense of loving and belonging, a space where he can be vulnerable, is where he will be. Because I think most men are looking for that safe space where we can be vulnerable. And unfortunate for us that we don't know that we could we actually can be vulnerable with our wives. And so one of the things that I help women to do is I help women to understand how to provide a safe space for a man. Because most women don't know. You really don't know how to provide a safe space for a man. And in particular a black man. And that's something that has to be learned. First of all, I just want to say I am so proud of myself for continuing this podcast because I have helped so many men transform their relationship, transform their marriages right now. I'll give you a story. I was in this group called Black Husbands, and so I was in there and I'm talking to the men and sharing with them my ideas of, based on the topics of how they were dealing with different stuff. My 2021 M Sport. Hey, what's going on, man? Coming on the show? Come on in, man. Let's talk, man. Let's talk about vulnerability and the challenges that men have. I'm welcoming you to the show. Hopefully you'll stay around so that we can have this conversation. It's Rob. What's up, Rob? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, man. I I just want to say I love you, man. What's up, man? What's going on, man? I just want to say I love you, man. I really do appreciate you. I ain't gonna be on long because I'm sick. I got that COVID. You got the COVID? That vid. Oh my gosh. Well, we gonna pray for you, man, and hopefully that you continue that there's a quick recovery for you. Um, you've been married before, right, Rob? No. You never. You never been married before. I ain't never been married. It's never been married. Well, here's the thing, Rob. Here's the thing, man. Share with us some of the challenges. You've been in a relationship and it broke up, right? It ended, right? Yeah. A lot of them. Right, I know, I got it. But the thing is that some of the and you're a good dude, man. And so when it comes to vulnerability and men being able to share, what have you what's been your challenge? What have you felt?
Trust, lack thereof, trust in yourself. You know, me, I've been in them streets. So I'm always thinking somebody about to do me like I did them. So, you know, couple that with the unsure. But see, that's when you focus. I wasn't focusing on relationships. I was focused on having what I thought was fun.
Yes.
You know. So it wasn't until this stage of my life, after I hit the bumps, the roads, stuff like that, that I'm really even considering any type of extended relationship.
Yeah. Man, I appreciate that. And so um talking from the streets, um one of the things that we know in the streets that it is very a matter of fact, right? Um
It's more visual.
mhm.
I grew up in Harlem, so what I saw out in the streets is what I thought was important.
Wow.
You know, the attention these guys would get from the different women.
Mhm.
Because they was out on the corners.
Right.
You know, and dressed nice. So that's the streets. You know, it wasn't, oh, look at them, they in love. Oh, look at them, they in love. Ooh, look at him, he getting something.
Mhm.
You know, that places a mark on your mind and your soul.
Mhm.
You know, me it did, and it made me feel I had to live up to that image. You know, I think we had that discussion before about focusing on being the man instead of the man.
Mhm.
You know? And there's a whole different ball of or train of thought that goes into that.
Right.
No responsibility. Not focusing on any one person. You know, so that does not lead you to wanting to go and what the heck? Somebody just sent something over. What the heck?
They sent something over to you.
Yeah, no, somebody said, so when are we going to get married?
Oh my gosh.
That's just something that just never appealed to me because I never thought I could come back from where I was at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're doing a great job up there in High Point, man.
Just trying to live this thing called life. You know, I think it's the first time in my life where I actually focused on that, living my life.
Living your life, absolutely. Um, I'm just I'm thankful. So what going back to what you were saying in regards to what you saw and what you thought were that was what life was based on what you saw. How much work did it take for you to be able to strip off of that bad?
Still doing it.
Still doing it.
Still doing the work. You know, what I had to learn was it's not about a destination. It's the journey. So if we look at the destination, we tend to stop. And when we stop, when those triggers come back, we go back to our comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
Opposed to if it's a destination, we steadily working on different ways to deal with the triggers that we've endured over our lives.
Mm-hmm.
The negative choices. Because a lot of times we make negative choices. Our choices are based on our previous actions.
Right.
Right? Because that was our go-to.
Yes.
Based on our core beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
wow.
all of those things. So once I decided that I had to make a change for me, like I said, always remember, no one changes until there's no significant change or lasting change unless you choose to make that change on your own.
Right.
If you do it for somebody else, it ain't gonna last.
Absolutely.
If they piss you off, you're going back to your old ways.
You're going back to your old ways. Absolutely.
So what we tend to do, anybody, we don't want to look at the negative aspects of who we are. It's part of who we are, right?
Right.
So once we look into the mirror at that negative portion or the thought process is not socially acceptable, it's not culturally acceptable. Until we look at those, we'll continue to make those same stumbles.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the journey is like we're always gonna come up against stuff that's gonna make us want to go back to that bag.
Mm-hmm.
That same old way of thinking. So each time there's a different way to dealing with it, but stay consistently dealing with it. So I made a decision that hey, I got more behind me than I got in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I not duplicate what's behind me on what's in front of me?
Right, and that is good. When I just when we talk about the triggers, do you know when you're going to be triggered at that moment?
No. You have to acknowledge first. You have to first learn your cycle. You have to learn what triggers you.
Mm-hmm.
You got to figure out thoughts, behaviors, actions.
Right.
Follow that pattern. And once you figure out your triggers, it dictates how you act.
Right. So
the thoughts are going to come up, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Then you got to make sure those thoughts are legitimate thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
One of my thoughts I used to be, nobody will like me if they knew everything about me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That's not camera checkable. Right? Because there's some people that have grace. That say, hey, we understand that you've done this and this is what you're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it means it's not a solid answer. Right?
Right.
Everybody, there'll be some people who won't give that grace. But you say to yourself, you can't base your actions on the ones that don't.
Right. You are such a smart man, and I'm just thankful to have you on the podcast, to come on and have a conversation and be able to share, because we as men need to be able to hear that other men are struggling, other men are going through similar situations, and that it takes courage to recognize that what you were taught, what you saw growing up, is not getting you to the place in which you want to be.
I'm gonna give you a good example.
Go ahead.
You deal with computers, right?
Mm-hmm.
When that sucker start moving slow or doing all crazy things, what do you need to do?
You need to clear up some memory.
Defrag it.
To
the point where you may even have to reprogram it, right?
You may have to reprogram it.
System off and put a fresh one on there.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Update it, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of things, especially in the African American household, where it's regarding men, there's a lot of myths. And we follow that. And if we follow that train of thought as we grow up, you said vulnerability, right?
Mm-hmm.
Weren't we told not to cry? Be tough.
Mm-hmm.
Be a man. The message was men don't cry.
Yeah.
Until I shook that, thought all the time I cried is when I got whooped.
Right. And then you like, ain't nobody whooping me no more.
Exactly. And what ends up happening? Life whoops you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Life whoops you. You become stone cold. You be hard, and you start fighting against things that you shouldn't be fighting against. So there's things out there that's trying to help you, but because of your thinking pattern already, you're gonna follow suit. But until you defrag, before if you reprogram, you're gonna consistently have those same problems.
Mm-hmm. And you know, Rob, you know, when I'm listening to this book. I think it was in it's called Outliers, and in this particular, well, I don't think it was an Outliers, but the point that one of the books I'm reading, it talks about how between the third trimester of being in your mother's womb, all the way up to 7 years old, that time is muted. So you're not really, you can't even remember things that happened in between those times. However, you saw stuff, you heard stuff, and you went through this download of information about how life should be or is. And then you, at 7, 8 years old, you now decide that, hey, I'm free. I can do stuff. I don't have to turn in mom. I don't have to do that, mom. Or I can figure, you start that process of avoiding from looking bad and doing everything you can to look good
in your eyes.
In your eyes.
In the eyes of others.
Oh, in the eyes of others.
We start living. That's when we start living for other people. What other people, we start believing other people want us to be.
Right.
So we end up showing a shell of ourselves because we can't show how we truly feel.
Mm-hmm.
We're afraid we're not going to be accepted.
But again, in those 7 years, even in those 7 years, who gave, as men, who sat you down and said, "Hey, Rob, how you feel, man?"
Shit, nobody.
So when it comes to being vulnerable, when it comes to sharing, when it comes to expressing your true feelings,
but that's why most times African American men we suffer from lack of emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
But we were never taught how to deal with our emotions. As weird as this sounds, the only socially acceptable emotion that a black man could share was anger.
And when anger comes up,
when we have lack of understanding,
and through frustration
and lack of communication, because we don't know how to communicate our feelings.
Right.
We know how to say we're mad, but we don't know how to say why we're mad.
Right. And you're absolutely right. And that's one of the things that I learned when I was looking at the feelings wheel. The wheel I gave you. When you look at mad, there are 12 different feelings behind mad.
Exactly.
That you can properly associate with that feeling, but because you weren't able to tell anybody, nobody dealt with you when you were mad.
No, look, they got you mad. They sit your ass down. So that was happening. It was never explained to me what's going on. Communicate to me why you feel in the way that you feel it.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't happen. Because if it did, that would constitute you wasn't a man. Even though you was a boy, you wasn't a man, but you were supposedly being reared as a man.
Mm-hmm.
So everything was abstract. You never got down to the meat and bones of how to be a man.
Right.
There's levels to it. There's levels to it. It's not just toughen up, don't cry, be a man. There's more levels to that, and we never get that. And most times, the only time we get that message is once we've gotten in some kind of trouble, when we have to go into the system. And then, if you go into the system, if you're not knowledgeable, you end up being programmed by things nothing to do with who you are as a culture. You're now being programmed as the others. Others. And let's face it, we not only look different, our culture is different. So That's why I read a book back in the day. Get a chance, check it out. Bishop T.D. Jakes, Men Cry in the Dark. Look it up. It had some real good jewels in it. And I said again, when you read, one thing I noticed, I can read something from somebody that looks like I receive it from it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because I know that if you look like me, you may have the same experiences. You can't talk to me about experiences you never experienced. Mm-hmm. You know? If you ain't never got whooped in your life, how can you tell me how to feel after I got whooped?
Right. Especially after telling your truth.
Yeah. That's good.
Right. Man, I tell you about them times when I got whooped and I had nothing to do with it.
Don't nobody want to hear it. I got whooped when my brother got whooped. I had nothing to do with it.
And here he is over there staying true to himself, knowing I'm about to get whooped, and he don't say anything.
That's when stitches get stitches started. With the sibling.
Oh my gosh.
It didn't start in the streets, it started in the house.
It started at the house.
What your parents tell you, but go on in this house, stay in this house, right?
Mm-hmm.
Snitch on me and watch what happens. There's always a negative consequence associated with telling what actually happened. All right, we grew up. What's the first thing when they say, "Who did this?" Not me.
Not me.
Not me. That's the basic answer. Not me get blamed for a whole lot of stuff.
I know. Not me. Where is not me? Who is not me? I don't know. He ain't here. he. I just know it is not me. But it is a day-to-day challenge. And so,
please, thank you.
At what age did you discover that there was a better way to relationships than what you were taught?
Between 45 and 50.
Oh my God. But Rob, the thing is that, damn. So for 45 years, you went through your life not feeling loved, not feeling appreciated, not feeling like you can interact.
But let me rephrase that. It was given, but I was in no position to receive.
Right.
I was in no position or didn't have the emotional intelligence to respond in kind. Right. So I have 4 kids, 4 different women. I didn't stick around long enough. If you piss me off, I'm gone.
Right.
Even had the self-defense mechanism. If you got too close to me, I had to push you away because I thought I was preserving myself.
You thought you were preserving yourself.
Protecting my heart.
Right. And that comes from, well, what do you think it comes from, Rob?
Well, it comes from things that happened in my childhood. Watching the dynamics of marriage in my mother and father's household. You know, so my mother, I grew up with mother and father in my household. But it was that age where they wasn't coming up to me, hugging me, telling me I love you or whatever. Love was displayed by a roof over your head, food in your stomach, clothes on your back. There was no expression of love outside of providing.
Which then explains why your love language is words of affirmation.
Yeah. For sure. You know, but that And then as life came on, physical touch.
Right.
If we ain't screwing, you can't possibly like me.
Right.
There's no building up to that. It's like, remember I told you about going into that Maslow triangle upside down?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what I mean. The physicality came before everything else.
Right.
So that, it's on its head. So if the foundation is the physical aspect, if the physical aspect stops,
right,
there's foundation.
Wow.
Right? And nothing to do with friendship, getting to know nobody, do that shit. But I'm just being honest with you,
And I appreciate that because that's the truth. And what you're sharing, Rob, is what most women don't give men grace for.
No. But they quick to tell you fucked up, just like the rest of them.
Right.
You like the rest of them, but they don't realize there's a reason why we are who we are.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely a reason for that. It ain't, and the problem is we didn't come out the womb like that.
No, we didn't.
We are shaped and molded by our external circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
So hear the statement, I'm a product of my environment. It's not necessarily a cop-out. It's what you do after that. You know, it is an explanation because if you go inside the inner city, you'll see a whole different makeup than you would African Americans in the suburbs.
Right.
Because in the inner city, one of the things that sticks out is the slave mentality.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the parents, 50s and 60s, were raising children from that slave mentality.
Right.
How do you get a kid in line? You whoop them in the line.
Mm-hmm.
The secretiveness. What goes on in the house, and then they wonder why we lie, why we grew up to lie.
Mm-hmm.
Because we can't go to the school and tell them, hey, whoop me. That's how I got my homework done. No. Especially in this day and age.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, that's my take on it.
And your take is valid. Your take is important, and I appreciate it because that's what you're sharing, Rob, is the hallmark of the message that I try to give women, that the man that you're involved with does not know he can trust you.
Yeah. I think I was looking at something one day, and the guy said this. He said, you know what? I trusted you once. You do it in my face. All you can trust now is that I'll say, I'm good.
Oh, my God.
I'm good. Because you're not going to open up anymore. You got one time for a man to open up to you. And if you blow that, and that's for men and women and men, that you got one time for somebody to show themselves vulnerable to you. And once you screw that over, it's not going to happen again.
Wow, Rob. Wow. Can you say that one more time?
I said you have one time for someone to open up to you, to show their vulnerability. And if you screw that one time up, you won't see it again. You won't see it again. You might get a fraction of it or something that looks like it,
mm-hmm.
but see the genuine vulnerability.
Yeah. So Rob, so let's say that I blew it. And I blew that one moment I have. How can I recover?
Here's the thing. You may never recover.
No, you're right. You may never recover. But how can I recover? Because I really do like you.
It's not impossible, but many people are not willing to put in the work like that. Let's just say, like in men and women relationship.
Mm-hmm.
cheeks, right? They may forgive you, but it's there. So a level of openness they had prior to that, what is it? It takes forever to build trust in a person, and it takes a hot second to lose it. And it's never going to be the same after that because that level of trust, they're always going to have in the back of their head, they may do this again. So like I said, I have no definitive answer on that. I'm just saying for me. For me, it's like it's hard to come back from.
So when someone, let's say, talking to you right now, right? Let's say I blew it. Do you have a can you have a conversation with me to say, hey man, I shared with you and you blew it. I ain't sharing nothing else with you ever again.
Oh yeah, and I'll say that. And then it's up to you on whether you want to still pursue or if you want to say, okay, it's done. Because now it's not up to me to do the work to mend that friendship or that trust. And it's not happen overnight. So that means you would have to say, how much do I want to invest in it? What do I want to how do I want to show him that, hey, little by little, I'm willing to accept what you give me till we can hopefully get back where we were.
So but do you see how you could be missing out on a relationship?
Definitely. But I also in my mind is saying I'm missing out on hurt. I'm missing out on being in my words shitted on. Because I trust
Right.
Because I trusted somebody. Hell, if I tell you I'm gonna fall, catch me. And your ass don't catch me and I fall and bust my head. How do you really think I'm gonna say? You say, okay, let me try it again. My bad. How quickly do you think I'm gonna jump up and say, okay?
But the thing is that I didn't know you were gonna fall right then.
If I tell you I'm getting ready to fall and catch me, and you don't catch me, you knew, or you didn't pay attention.
I didn't pay attention, and I'm sorry that.
Let me ask you a question. You ever hurt somebody in their life?
Yes.
You ever misuse somebody's trust?
Yes.
And when you said you're sorry, you expected them to just bounce back and say, okay, right?
No, I didn't expect them to bounce back.
Be honest and transparent.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I expected them to bounce back and like, come on, give me a chance. Come on now. You know, it's gonna be all right.
Okay, yeah, but guess what you're doing that from?
What
to get your bed. You're not worried about how you shitted on them.
Right.
An apology is not for the other person. It's for you. Right, if I'm wrong, bro.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. The apology is for you. The forgiveness is for the other person.
Exactly. And that person's just not necessarily ready to forgive. It could be never. It could be then. It could be somewhere in the middle.
But the thing is that the reason that you're unable to forgive me about what happened is because of something that happened before me.
Exactly. So if you do the same shit somebody else does, guess what? As unfortunate as it is, we revert back to our historics, what has happened before, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now, if we haven't done work on ourselves, the first thing we're going to say is just like everybody else.
You're absolutely right. And so here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. What happened in the past is not duplicatable. It's not repeatable.
You know that saying, look like a duck, sound like a duck. It's a
quack like a duck, and it is a duck. But my thing is, Rob, is that scenario, what happened in the past will never happen again.
All right. No. It'll happen again.
No. What I'm saying is, entertain me for a moment, Rob. Entertain me for a moment. And what I'm saying is that, let's say I cuss you out,
Hmm?
and you're like, ain't nobody ever gonna talk to me like that ever again, right?
Hmm?
And so, fast forward 3 years down the road, you're now talking to Ed, right? And Ed decided he wants to share with you his moment, right? And then you decide, ain't no motherfucker talking to me like that ever again. So I'm gonna check you right now, right?
Hmm?
Those are two different moments.
No, what they are, they're two different situations. You choose if you want to deal with them differently. So that's the whole thing about working on yourself and change, right? If you don't work on yourself and you change, you're going to respond the same way you did before.
Same way you did before. Well, not no, because sometimes you're like, what? I should have said something.
That's what I'm saying. That's moving forward. That's your move. So you're gonna be like, oh, ain't nobody gonna talk. See, before you said nobody's gonna ever talk to you like that again, right? So when this next dude happens, you're not gonna give it time to fester. You're gonna flash back on him. But if you have worked on yourself and say, you know what, no one can make me respond any way I don't want to respond. Your response. So if you work on yourself, your response is going to be to the different situation. Well, it's the same situation, but your response is going to be different because you figured out, you analyzed that historical event that happened.
Right.
So nothing changes about the situation. What changes about is your response to the situation.
And your response, and that you can actually
you can articulate how you feel instead of getting pissed off and shutting down.
And managing your triggers.
Yeah, that's the same thing because the trigger is somebody yelling at me. I wish another would. Instead of saying, this person don't know me better.
Oh my gosh, Rob. Man, I've enjoyed this conversation. But the thing is that, can you imagine some there are people who are walking around right now in that state that you're saying is that I wish a motherfucker would. I wish somebody would.
Yeah. But guess what it is? It's a lot of us African American men. Why? We have been taught to not let anybody do anything to us. Right. We can be mad, we can be angry, we can be aggressive. So we are taught right off the bat, this is not a negotiation. If somebody hits you, what you do? You hit them back. You don't discuss why they hit you. Now, if you've worked on yourself, like I have, like I grew up, if mama hit you, you hit their ass back.
Right.
So you hit their ass while they hit you.
Right.
But as time is over these damn near 60 years, I'm able to at least think of it. Don't get me wrong. There's sometimes I'll flash on a cat in a minute. But I'll think about it. I mean, damn, I could have handled that differently. but then I say to so in a way I try to tell myself I've made some progress.
Yes.
But that's me trying to make light of this shit. I know much. If somebody come up to me try to play tough guy,
Yeah.
In some ways I'm gonna show them my tough guy ain't broke either. And at this stage of my life, I don't need to match that, craziness with theirs.
Right.
But the one that's I've worked on it, but I know it's still there. I know it's at the right time. Somebody pull it out, and it's. I think everybody has that protective self, protective of, and you can put somebody so far, and they'll find out they got that in them.
Right.
So I guess the bottom line is, we are the ones that's in control of our reaction. Even though we like to say somebody made me do something, nobody make you do shit. Yeah.
Somebody made you do nothing. He wasn't there with a gun in your face saying, "Do this," right?
Yeah, they what?
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to see how far you was gonna take it.
Mm-hmm.
You ever heard that saying? One of them scared, the other one glad of it.
Yeah.
I was
So.
in New York this morning,
Mm-hmm.
headed to the airport.
Mm-hmm.
Us in this air out to the. I wanted to tell him, man, sit your ass down. I'm trying to get to the airport.
Mm-hmm.
And it took every ounce of strength to me not to say, come on, dude. But what I knew is the way he was going, it wasn't going to end good, because if he would have shouted at me like he shouted at dude, I was like, how about if I fuck you up and I'll get to the airport and we're good? When you know it's not going to end up like that.
Right.
You know, I'm looking at that now. 30 years ago, even at that late 20s, I would have said something. But again, that's based on growing up in the area that I grew up and seeing guys on the street, posture.
Mm-hmm.
Posture. Because that's about being a man, right? Put your chest out. Playing on basketball court, right?
Mm-hmm.
Motherfucker foul you. What you gonna do, right?
Right.
If he say he didn't foul me, then they go, what, motherfucker? I called a foul. You gonna respect
Right.
We have, as black men, we've always been looking to see how other people's are receiving us.
Right. And again, we get trained on being violent, even if somebody bridges you, right? He go up, right, and he come down, right?
he may not have done that on purpose, but he did.
Right. Right. You and the thing is, it's tough being a man, Rob.
It's a programmed response. We've been programmed. So
yeah,
we spend our life trying to figure out whether we want to stay with that same program.
Wow, and you man, Rob, just looking at the basketball part, right? So being a man on the court, we're programmed that regardless of what you think, you cannot back down.
Nope. Because if you back down, you are what?
You're weak.
You're a bitch.
You're a bitch. You're a sissy. You whatever. Right.
And you know what my
you didn't go up strong.
What my motto is, I'm not gonna let you do it because I'm worried about the next person looking.
Right.
They can do it too.
Right.
So even if I take a loss, they'll know I ain't gonna walk away.
Right. Well, Rob, hey, listen, man. Thank you so much for being on the broadcast today, man. I know you're eating, and I know you got COVID, and you're always welcome, man. And my heart is like,
I saw you lingering on there. I said, I don't want Frank to talk to himself.
well, I can say thank you, man, because your contribution to the conversation, man, is always worthwhile. And it brings a sense of awareness to the conversation, because men are able to hear from another man and not just thinking that I'm here just talking.
Make sure you tell cousin that I came in and partaked in the time with you.
I will. She loves me. You know that woman loves me, man.
That's right, though. She loves me too, so don't trip.
Yeah.
she love her big cousins.
She does, man. And I'm proud of you, man. I'm happy for you. So appreciate you, man. Let's go ahead and close this thing.
I'll holler at you, big boy.
All right, man. Appreciate you, man. Absolutely. Thank you so much for another positive episode. The champ has brought it again. And we talked about today about the struggles that men have with being vulnerable and the
Listen,
Cause I'm the champion.
Champ
A
is here.
champion.
And when you want to come on the podcast and share your story, to talk about how you have navigated life after divorce or during your marriage, the challenges, come on. I welcome you. Remember to subscribe, to share.
Let's go. They said I wouldn't make it, but I'm here now.
But I'm here right now. I'm here for you.
And I'm here to stay, never go down.
I'm good.
Cause I'm a champion.
The champ is here. I'm your champ.
Cause I'm a champion.
Yes.
Cause I'm a champion. A champion.
And this is my song. I'm proud of it. I produced it. I have the rights to it. Man, can you believe that? I got my own theme song. Yes. Remember to subscribe, to share, to like. Enter Discovery's Unvalid Connection, the podcast dedicated for you. And Champ is out. Yeah.